What's up, football fans? Welcome back to Sportlab, where we break down the biggest games and biggest moments. And tonight, it's heartbreak for Leicester and title fever for Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold returned from injury to score a thunderbolt that leaves the Reds just one win away from the Premier League crown, while the Foxes are officially relegated. Let's dive into all the drama from the King Power.
Yeah, that's probably the one type of goal I've been missing, but no, I saved it for the right time. Being so close to win the league now, I think it's one win away now, very close, and to do, especially with fans here as well, is a very, very special moment.
Alexis, you just stood there with a big grin on your face, which I guess tells us a lot.
Yeah, of course, really happy, not just for the team, but for Trent. He's been working really, really hard to come back, so this is a present for him. I hope he can enjoy it with these amazing fans. I'm pretty sure he deserves it.
What did it mean to have, well, a couple of moments actually with the Liverpool fans as you charged towards them when you scored? And I just noticed at the end there, I think it was Virgil just shoved you forward to take the applause.
Yeah, of course. I think he's pushed me to the front to soak it in, get up close and personal. The way fans are always amazing. The fans have been outstanding again this season. They pushed us every game until the final minutes, and they've done that again today, and they've helped us win the game. You can still hear them now all there celebrating. As much as we do it for ourselves and do it for our families, we do it for the fans as well. They're the ones that travel to games, spend the money to come watch us play, so at the least they deserve is to see us give 100% on the pitch and win games, and to be so close to sealing, for some of us, a second league title, and for a lot of us a first league title, but especially in front of fans, which is what we've been missing, is very special.
Listen, there's one more burning question. You know it's coming. I don't know if you can give an answer. How many special moments left for you in the Liverpool shirt?
Look, obviously, like I've said all season, I'm not going to speak on my situation. I'm not going to go into details, but these days like today are always special. Scoring goals, playing, winning games, being close to winning titles as well, being in title races. The special moments that will live with me forever, and I'm glad to be a part of them.
Well said. Can you do one more job for us? Play the match, Alexis.
I don't know if I deserve it, but the most important thing is the win and that this guy scored.
Well said.
Thank you.
Alexis McAllister and Trent Alexander-Arnold. In a way, that interview was a lot like the game itself. We had to wait a long time for the goal. We were waiting for the Patrick Davison question to Trent Alexander-Arnold. We could have predicted, really, what the tone of the answer would be, but he had to ask it. Did we get any clues from the answer at all?
Not really, but I felt more an edge throughout that interview than I did the game, actually. Listen, he hasn't really spoken all season, which... Listen, we're getting to that stage of the season where he's got to, be speaking to the club in terms of what he is doing one way or another, whether a decision has already been made. I think most people feel that it has, so it's probably as difficult for him to give an honest answer if that decision has been made. But I think the frustration from the Liverpool supporters throughout this process is that at least with sort of Salah and Van Dijk, even though they've been coming out and speaking, and I was critical of Mo Salah early in the season about coming out about his own situation, but it was always on the remit that they wanted to stay. So I think that probably tells you having the situation with Trent being a local boy this season, getting the interview at the end, and we'll find out. There's only a few weeks to go, but I think most of us probably know what's going to happen.
Great moment, though, for Trent Alexander-Arnold as Liverpool move to within 3 points of the Premier League title. We'll reflect on that, and we'll reflect on Leicester's relegation. Just to round up what's been happening elsewhere today, Fulham are 1-0 up, but an injury time winner from Pedro Neto earned all 3 points for Chelsea, takes them back into the automatic Champions League spot. Manchester United beaten 1-0 at home by Wolves. Pablo Sarabia on target for Wolves, and that means they are officially safe and they move level on points with Manchester United. Earlier today, Arsenal with a 4-0 win at 10-man Ipswich. Remember, you can see highlights of all today's games, including the goals, of course, on the Sky Sports app, and the quickest way to get there is to scan the QR code that you can see on your screen right now. And here is the table. Liverpool within 3 points of a Premier League title. Arsenal may have something to say about. They play against Crystal Palace on Wednesday, and if Crystal Palace get the win, the title will be Liverpool's. Otherwise, it goes to the game against Tottenham next weekend, where Liverpool will have to win in order to seal the title. Chelsea move into the Champions League places. Nottingham Forest go into their game against Tottenham tomorrow night in 6th place. They are out of those Champions League spots. Meanwhile, down at the other end, we already knew that Southampton were relegated. Leicester have joined them. They had to win against the champions-elect in order to keep their season going for a little bit longer. It's almost done for Ipswich, and that's because of the big goal difference. They can get there in terms of their points total, but that goal difference could well see them suffer. West Ham just outside the bottom 3. Wolves move up into 15th. They're level on points with Manchester United and Everton as things stand.
Some of the fans, as I said earlier, are not happy about that, wanting him to stay, sign a contract so maybe the club could get money. That's kind of complicated. It's just, that was fun to see. It wasn't the best knee slide I've ever seen, but the throwing the shirt off and going over and tensing himself up, that was, like, interesting. We haven't seen that, and there must be so much emotion going on in this kid's head because he's been brilliant for the club. But it looks like he's going to be leaving.
It might be all of that. It might be all of that emotion. And by the way, for all that was just said, he loves Liverpool Football Club. Of course, he loves it. Of course. And so all of that emotion, he's human. These players are human, and all that emotion is pent up, and he probably was giving them a bit back, and they've given him some, but he loves his football club. So, great reaction.
What do you make of this one overall? Because Liverpool, you said it at halftime too, Robbie. It's a cat playing with a mouse before it eats it. It seemed like playing with their food a little bit in this one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the second half was better. I thought there's a little bit more energy from Liverpool. We saw it in the last game where they want to win games. They want to win every game going on, and they'll have a little bit of a rally up and turn up the pace a little bit and find ways to win, which they did again today. So substitutions were made. It wasn't great games for many of their players, but they have got a good squad. Others came into the game and had a decent impact in the match as well. Everybody seemed to be healthy and fit. I think just Joe Gomez injured right now. They win again. The fans enjoy that. We see the scenes afterwards of the players going over. So it's all good. Yeah. It's all good. It's just like the first half was like, we know there's so much more in Liverpool, but we did see a bit more in the second half.
I thought there'd be more goals in the game. We said there'd be goals in the second half. They ended up getting a breakthrough. To be fair, at times it looked like a training session for Liverpool. They bopped it around. You and I were talking off camera. There was a spell in there, probably right before the disallowed goal, where Leicester were good. They were charging around. There was energy. And I think it's a cautionary tale for these teams that go down. It's like, that has to be the bare minimum. You've got to work your socks off as a team who's just come up from the championship. I hadn't seen enough of that from Leicester.
Perhaps we'll learn a little bit more about that celebration for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Here he is after the match, just moments ago, with McAllister's.
Welcome back. So 0-0 between Leicester and Liverpool at half-time. Not the straightforward walk in the park perhaps some Liverpool fans might have thought, John.
Well, Leicester are putting up a much better fight than Ipswich did. You know, Tony talked about being on the front foot, being aggressive, getting forward, being brave, and that's what they've done. Liverpool still had enough chances to have been ahead, but Leicester are making it difficult for them. And I said at the start, or I felt at the start, had the game gone the other way against Ipswich, then I think we'd have seen a different Liverpool performance. As much as if we won today, we will win the league. And the fact that we're not winning today, even winning today is not going to make us win the league. It's not been the greatest of performances. I think had Ipswich got a point or one, I think we would have seen a different Liverpool performance.
Interesting. That said, as John says, Michael, there have been chances. Woodwork hit at both ends. In fact, Mo Salah managed to do it twice in one go.
Yeah, this is his best chance as well, Steve. He's had a few chances, but I think this is his easiest one. He normally laps these up. One thing I think he does wrong is he slides it along the floor. And when a goalkeeper spreads and puts their legs out like that, then you've got to be really accurate. If you just lift it, like literally a foot, then you give yourself so much more. See, his foot nearly touches that, the goalkeeper. It's actually so precise what he's done. Doesn't need to be that precise. If he lifts it, he gets an extra 2 or 3 foot that he can target, into the side netting. So I think that's where he went wrong there. Just a little, just that far off the floor, and he makes the finish so much easier for himself.
We know they haven't scored Leicester for the last 8 games at home, but they managed to hit woodwork as well. They've had their occasional moments.
Yeah, they've got a good shape. They've come out, they're fighting. And they've got a good opportunity here, and they've hit the post. But I'd like them to see them kicking it a little bit more, just to relieve the pressure. They have rode their luck. We've seen the chances that Salah's had. But there's a great opportunity there. You're going to get opportunities. If you keep in this game and you keep tight, and like I said, they've got a very good shape, then you never know.
We said keeping it at 0-0 for as long as possible, and they've done that, so that's why they're still in the game. Had Liverpool gone 1-0 up in the first 20, I could see it going the way Ipswich game went. But as long as it stays 0-0, as much as I still think in the second half Liverpool will come on, it's going to be more difficult.
You said that was Mo Salah's best chance. He's had 2 or 3 other ones. Let's have a look at those and see how you feel he could have done here.
Yeah, it's quite safe. I think the fullback actually does well. Just jumping in front of someone when you're about to strike it like that doesn't half put you off. You know, if I was a defender, you know, even if you're beaten, even if you can't get to it, still jump. It doesn't half put the attacker off, and that ended up being a little bit safe. This one he goes with his laces, John, and I don't know, I prefer, because I still think you can get enough power side footed there, but I don't know how you'd do it.
Well, he did the side foot one in the first time when he probably should have done with his laces. On this one, with the player being in front of him, I think he, you know, this is, if he needed to side foot it around him, that probably was the opportunity rather than the first one.
Yeah. And then this one, I mean, when I first saw it, I thought, can he dive with his head? That would have made it far easier, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, so it might have been a little bit too far in front of him. It's on his weak foot, he's stretching. It's not the easiest. Yeah, no. It's not the easiest at all. It's pretty high for a volley, as I say. The best case scenario there is if you can just get in front and dive and header it. Exactly. That's what my original thought process was, but only he'll know if that was a possibility.
Well, I mean, I thought it was a little bit too far in front of him, and if you're going to side foot it, you have to cushion it.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it came in, there so much pace on it. If you don't cushion it, it's just going to go over.
Yeah, kill speed, you kill height. That's always the case. People think that they've got to strike it into the back of the net all the time.
Just cushion it.
Soft. Just take your leg away as it's going to come and hit you, and it negates the ball going over the bar a lot of the time. But that might be a bad example of it. But a lot of the time, people hit the ball over because they try to hit it too hard into the net when you should be taking pace off a lot of the time. Less is more.
Oh, it could be today. Until they're crowned champions, and of course on that final day he will lift the Premier League trophy. So who better in that position to rate Virgil van Dijk? 2 more years, that'll take him to 9.5 in the Premier League.
Brilliant.
At Liverpool. Where does he rank for you, Tony?
The first thing is when I saw him 4 or 5 years ago collecting the PFA Player of the Year, I looked at him and I went like that. My God, what a man mountain, you know. He's absolutely awesome as a physical. His probably best attribute is his physical, you know, contact. And of that, he's put on his, he does interceptions now, and his pace is quick for a big guy as well. So he's right up there. But it's about a team, to be honest with you. I've really enjoyed watching Robertson having a better season than he's had in previous years, and Connor. But just talking about, he's got it all. He's got it all. He really has. Like I said, he's getting more experienced, which made him... Because in the past, my criticism for him, I think I did it on the show back in the day with you guys, that sometimes he wasn't reading the game. He was relying on his physical kind of manpower to be aggressive with the forwards. But he's put him, with his experience, he's come a little bit of a reading of the game and the situations now. So, yeah, it's all about partnerships for me, and Gravenberch in front of him, you know. I always say I'm only as good as the people around me and stuff, but I played some of my best football in my 30s, and it seems like he is, and he's Liverpool for life.
John, you've seen an awful lot of him. It'll take him to nearly 10 years at the club, which you know firsthand what it's like to do that at Liverpool, and how hard it is to stay at the top and do that at Liverpool.
You know, you talk about best centre-backs, and you try and cross over from the Premier League to the First Division, the glory years in the First Division. And I put him alongside Alan Hansen. Wow. You know, of course, you can go back and look at the centre-backs in the 70s and the team in the 70s, and you've got great Mark Lawrence and Tommy Smith. But when you talk about, you know, the best players, in my opinion, the best centre-backs, I put him and Hansen alongside each other. I think Alan Hansen was fantastic, but he's been incredible. He's been incredible. After his injury a couple of years ago, people thought, was he the same? But he reads the game well. He's strong. He's physical. He could have played when we played against us. Tony will tell you, Billy Whitehurst and Mick Harford and people like that. But he also plays against modern players because he reads the game very well as well. So yeah, and I think that if we had to sign any of the 3, I think he was the most important one.
Really?
Short term, you know, obviously, as we move along, you may look in other positions, but I think for next year and possibly the year after, I think more than Mo and Trent, he was the one that we needed to tie down.
Wow. Does he tick every single box for you, Michael?
Oh, yeah. I've sat on in this chair before and said what I think of him. He's as good as I've ever seen, I think. I don't see any weakness in his game at all. I mean, a couple of little mistakes here. He might, but look how he recovers. His pace, his strength. He just shrugs people off. He's too big, too strong, too good, really. And you know what? In this team, it's not like he's getting loads and loads of help. I mean, over the years, he's had full-backs that have been, you know, playing like wingers, really. He's had to stand there at the back on his own with maybe just another centre-half, okay, a sitting midfielder in front of him. But he doesn't have it easy. He's not in one of these teams that sits back and just defends the edge of his box and nods it out all the time. I mean, he defends the hard way. He reads the game well, as Tony said. You know, that experience now. The injury was a big question mark, because that's a big injury. And he's come back as absolutely right as rain. He's brand new. So, no, that was a huge sign. And, I mean, John saying he's a bigger, maybe more important than Mo is an interesting one, because obviously...
Because you're going to disagree with the goal scorer, Hassel.
Well, no, I mean, you know what I think of this fella? I think he's absolutely off the scale good, and he almost allows Liverpool to play how they play. But scoring goals, I mean, without Mo Salah, they were far more important.
But what I just while this is on, this might come into your argument as well. Salah's that's 340. He's the only player to play every single second in the Premier League for Liverpool this season. He's so durable, John.
Not only is he durable, we've needed him, because of course when anyone plays alongside him, be it Konate, be it Konsa, he actually brings him on, and you can see when he's not there what that actually brings. Why I say he's the most important one to keep is because of course Mo is incredible, but then when you got Jota, Diaz, you got other people who can score goals. I don't think if Mo doesn't play, we're not going to score goals, but I think if he doesn't play, we're not going to win matches. So I think in terms of the importance, I think because we haven't really got anyone there to actually replace him, and you're not going to replace Mo, but I still think we have enough attacking options to still be okay in that position.
And he scores goals as well. You know, there's 1 in 14. It's my record, actually. I was 1 in 14.
Not that left from half on 27
goals.
He never came through and scored against Everton with a half a top.
Yet. He's still got time. He's got another 2 years now. Right?
He might get a statue, you don't know. I want to ask you this, because Arne Slot was really interesting this week when he was asked about Virgil van Dijk. He said in his coaching and managerial career, he has never come across one player at a training ground and stadium with so much leadership influence that Virgil van Dijk has on Liverpool.
You don't see that side of him. Obviously, we only see him on the pitch, but it's really encouraging for a manager to say that, you know, and it's...
Well, without making you blush with your suntan, your former teammates used to say exactly the same about you in that Arsenal dressing room and training ground, so...
Thank you. It's important, you know, Michael said and John has both said that when you need to lead, you need people, those characters in your dressing room that are there on time, leading it every single game. And it's hard when the team's not doing so well, but it's so important that you've got that consistency. And for me, he's been consistent through the years that he's been at Liverpool, you know, and players have gone out of form around him and they've got injuries and stuff, but he's really been consistent.
But I think the difference between you, Tony, because Tony would have learned from David O'Leary and other people, because that was a feature of football back then. Leaders in the dressing room.
They're a dying breed now.
Tony's a young boy coming through. You don't really get that anymore in the Premier League, because you got a lot of foreign players coming in. You don't have that players come, players go. Whereas he is unique in that, because you don't really have that in the Premier League. Tony would have learned as a young kid, because Tony was like that when he was 16 and 17 years old, from what he saw. You don't see that in the Premier League.
Glad Barnes is on today.
No, and you rightly say so. But that's where Virgil has been unique, because that has gone out of football, where you have a character like that who leads from the sort of Roy Keane types, the Tony Adams types. So Virgil has actually kind of brought that back.
And what Liverpool did have and did lose in a double helping was Jordan Henderson and James Milner. And a lot of people thought at that point, right, where are the leaders going to come from now? Virgil van Dijk was obviously the natural one, but you can't just have one leader in a group, you know. And
has he stood up since he got the armband for you?
Absolutely, yeah. And that was a big question mark, because, you know, James Milner and Jordan Henderson led that dressing room. They ruled the roost at the training ground. Everybody would go to them. And once you lose that, and they don't even have to be playing, but he doesn't only lead on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. So it's a double helping of importance there. So, you know, he stepped up to the plate incredibly well.
And having captained and led Liverpool, you know how important those senior players are. So to have him and Salah there, in and around the training ground every day in the dressing room, is so crucial with it.
Salah more by example. I don't think Salah goes around ranting and raving.
No, but to look up to,
in terms of that. But that's why I say he's the most important one. He's the most important one. But once again, as much as we're talking about how great it is for Liverpool, it's also great for them to be at Liverpool. And we can't lose sight of that, because I think too often in this day and age, we're talking about how lucky clubs are to have players. But when players and, the club is always much more important than the player. And we, as much as we are grateful to have them, we also have to just understand that they're also very lucky to be at a club like Liverpool. Yeah.
Well, Arne, for so much of this season, you had to fight, you had to scrap. And again, for so much of the season, you found a way.
Yeah. And again, we created a lot of chances. Maybe this time even more than normally. And normally we're a bit better if we create chances that we score goals. But today it took us a long time, and of course a great moment for Trent after working so hard to come back, being able to be with the squad and then come in and make the goal that makes a lot of difference is very special for him.
At the start of the game, I think Salah hit both posts in the 3rd minute. Did you go from thinking, it's kind of a matter of time till we score, to as the game wears on, is it going to happen today?
No, I never felt it's not going to happen today, because we kept creating chances. But you do know that if you play against a team that's almost relegated or very close to relegation, that it helps if you can kill the momentum immediately by scoring a goal. Hopefully find the second one immediately afterwards, and then it's normally an easy game for you. But if you don't score the first one and the stadium was sold out again because the league leaders come, and they get a bit of momentum, they get a bit of belief for a result, then it gets more difficult and more difficult. That's why I was really happy and pleased with the second half, where we created so many chances.
Yeah, and I know it's not done yet, but when you're in this situation, does every victory feel like a huge moment? Does every victory feel like a big step?
Yes, but it felt like big moments during the whole season. But of course, in the end, they seem to matter more because either you want to go to the Champions League if you are number 5 in the league, or if you're number 1 in the league, you want to stay in that position. You want to try to stay out of relegation. So in the end, it always feels that it's more important. But yeah, it was a good win, but with a lot of effort again.
Why does this team always find a way, do you think?
Because they just keep going. Mentally, they're really strong, and they just enjoy to play football. They enjoy to be out there trying to create, work very hard, not to concede, because I don't think, apart from the first half where they hit the post, they've created a lot. Maybe in extra time, one shot quite high over the goal. So yeah, it's a bit of both. They enjoy playing football, and it always helps if you play for something special. Let's be honest.
Great to be able to turn to a player of Trent's quality. How special a moment was that? I mean, every question about him this season has really been about the contract. But forget that for a second. How good is he?
He's incredible, if he sets his mind to it. So I think if you play for such a long time at a club, there are always moments where you feel like, maybe again an away game where I've been so many times. But every time when moments really matter, so when he came in half an hour before the end against Newcastle, that's probably the best I've seen him play. And then against Paris Saint-Germain in the second half, where we really needed a goal, he stepped up. Unfortunately, he got injured in that game. And to know today, he knows when it matters most, he can just bring a bit more. And I think that is something only the top players have. And yeah, he has that definitely.
And those top players, as you say, you want to keep them. So can you see a way that he stays? It's felt for a while like that's been set on a path different to Virgil's and Mo Salah's. But can you see a way that he's doing magic things for Liverpool again next year?
I think my only good answer is to talk about his goal, because all the attention should go to his goal, the importance of his goal, the importance what he did for this club for so many years in a row, and even this season, this is my only season with him. And for him scoring a goal like this, all the headlines should be about him scoring this goal and not about his contract situation.
And again, all season long, you haven't wanted to dream, you haven't wanted to look too far ahead, but it's one game now. Yeah. It's one win. Is it harder and harder to hold back those dreams?
No, it's never hard to dream, but I think it's also clear that you saw this today as well, that we are really focused on playing. The boys deserve to have a day off, and hopefully they're going to enjoy that. And then when we are back together, it's full focus on Tottenham. And looking forward again to a home game. Probably the stadium will be full.
I'd have said it might be, yeah.
So it's a nice game to look forward to, but we have to focus on Tottenham, which we've played already 3 times this season, I think, and it's every time they've made a real competitive game for us. So we know what to expect, and we know we have to be ready.
Okay. So we'll see you at Anfield next week.
See you next week.
Thanks, Arne. All the best to you.
Time for Arnolding towards that game. It could be done as early as Wednesday, depending on what happens between Arsenal and Crystal Palace, but it could go to that game against Tottenham, where Liverpool will have it in their own hands. On this performance against Leicester, how do you think they're coming into these last few games of the season?
I think they were in better form in the winter months, and none better than possibly the 2 performances against Tottenham this season. When you think of the league game, or certainly the game at Anfield in the Carabao Cup second leg, Liverpool were fantastic. They were excellent in the league game there. Scored a few goals, so it's not quite there right now, but they're getting the job done, and that's what it felt like watching this game, the way it's felt like for a few weeks, where you come away and thinking, come on, can it be a bit more sort of spectacular maybe in terms of the football or the pace of the game at different times? But then you come away and you look at how many shots Liverpool had, how many big chances they created. And Liverpool have scored 75 goals in the Premier League this season in 33 games, which is a brilliant record. I think Arsenal, obviously in second position on 61. And I still feel like they can score more goals. Every time I watch them, I feel like, if they could do it with someone else there alongside Salah, who was as clinical as him, in terms of getting more goals, because they very rarely actually go out and sort of beat someone 4 or 5-0. Maybe we'll look at the stats tomorrow on Monday Night Football, exactly. But they feel like they win a lot of games by 1 goal or 2 goals. Very rarely going to win by sort of 4 or 5. And normally you associate that with title winners doing that maybe 4 or 5 times in the season. I don't think that's quite happened for Liverpool this season. But in terms of chances created, it feels like they should be scoring a lot more goals.
It's funny because the goal sort of sums that up. Although it was a goal in the end, Van Dijk had a go, Salah had a go, McAllister had a go. It could have been a goal like 3 times before it actually went in from Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, well, it comes from a set piece, and Liverpool were dominant on set piece, especially with Konate and Van Dijk. But the way it comes back out to Trent here, just look at the way he shapes up. This is why he's so important for this team. His technical ability is just second to none. You see it there bouncing around, are they going to get a goal or not? But look at the way he shapes his body there. And this what separates him from other fullbacks. And I said the other day he's in the top 2 fullbacks. I think he's exceptional in what he can do. Yes, he can improve defensively. We all know that. But what he brings to this team offensively is second to none. Bradley played well today. Defensively got caught out a couple of times. But just the way he shapes up there, it's just perfect. Yes, the goalkeeper should do a little bit better, but I was just delighted for him. Put away the contract, put that to the side for a minute. It's a massive, massive moment for him, and I'm delighted for him because he would have been frustrated, and he enjoyed it. Look at him shout, it's all the emotion coming out. And I feel this season, of course, you want to get him tied down, tied to a new contract, but we forget how quality this player is going forward. He's absolutely sensational, and whatever he does, whether he stays, whether he goes, I mean, he deserved that moment because over the last couple of years, he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and I love him, I really do.
He wanted to concentrate on the moment when he was asked about it. His manager wanted to concentrate on the goal rather than Trent Alexander-Arnold's future when he was asked about it. Is it possible to separate the two, Roy? Is it possible to say this is a great moment without talking about what's to come for him?
Well, you have to, but when you're a footballer, you're going to have these demands, and over the last few months, he's obviously decided to keep quiet about his contract talk. A lot of fans wouldn't like that, but if you look at the fans' reaction when he scores, fans can be like that. They'll be disappointed with you, but when you turn up and you perform like he has done and scores an important moment, then it's all forgotten about. There'll still be Liverpool fans up and down the country, all over the world, frustrated with Trent a little bit. But you can't begrudge the guy what he's done on the football pitch, the brilliant player he's been for Liverpool. Is it 350-odd games or whatever? It's fantastic. He's a brilliant player. And the contract thing will obviously be sorted, I'm sure, over the next few weeks. It clearly looks like he's going to be leaving. But, yeah, let him enjoy that moment. But you also have to be mature enough to understand that people are going to ask questions about your situation. He's dealt with it by not commenting on it. And you have to respect that. You mightn't have to like it, but you look at the Liverpool fans' faces there. Well, if he leaves the next few months, yeah, a lot of them will be going, they'll be frustrated with him. But they're not frustrated with him today, because that's the modern football fan. The bottom line, he's gone out there and he's done the business. We felt when he came on today, all of us were saying he'd probably scored a winning goal. And that's what he's done. And as poor as Liverpool, I suppose, has been in the last week or two, they've created loads of chances. Two of the defenders have stepped up. They've forced goals or winning goals from set pieces. And that's a good sign. You know, we've always said they have a good knack of winning football matches, even when they're maybe not at their best, but they're still creating loads of chances. They gave up 1 or 2 chances against a poor Leicester team. Leicester obviously not good enough to punish them, but they've won the game. Pretty sure they got the job done next week.
It may already be decided behind closed doors, but if Trent Alexander-Arnold leaves Liverpool at the end of the season, whether it's for Real Madrid or where else, but Madrid are the front runners for this, did he show today, even in that sort of 15, 20-minute cameo, exactly how hard it's going to be, whether it's Conor Bradley or whoever comes in to replace him?
You can't replace him, because what he is, the reason we talk about him so much, I think he's the most talked about fullback we've probably ever seen in the Premier League, is because he's unique, he's different. And you've just mentioned about him defensively. Now, most top fullbacks don't get it thrown at them, they're not very good defensively. But he's so unique on the ball. I think I said 4 or 5 years ago, it's like having Kevin De Bruyne play at right back. You know, that's what it feels like in terms of his ability on the ball. He can come on and change games. So Liverpool aren't going to replace that. So Liverpool need to replace his creativity. They're not going to do that from right back. They need maybe to do that from an attacking midfield position or maybe a left wing position. So the team has to evolve that way. Now, where they can replace him is Conor Bradley's a right back. Conor Bradley shouldn't look at Trent and think, I want to be like him. He's got to be like Andy Robertson was when he was in his prime. A proper fullback, up and down, aggressive, at the winger, maybe overlapping, getting crosses in, underlapping is what the Liverpool fullbacks like to do. So you're not going to be able to replace him, so forget that. But the big decision Liverpool have, or a couple of decisions between now and the end of the season and the summer, is if Trent hasn't committed, which he hasn't, obviously, to the manager for next season, he shouldn't be starting games. He shouldn't be, because
even not for a send-off for him for what he's done for the couple of years. You think about planning for next season.
Of course, Liverpool are not here as a football club to give someone a send-off.
Yeah, but I mean, you win the league for so long. He's been a vital part of that. I mean, yes, I understand what you're saying in terms of like you've got to prepare for next season. I totally get that point. I do, but for what he's done for the club throughout his years, been there since a little boy. They're going to win the league, just to give him a few more appearances and say, you know, well done. No,
it's not about that. The point we're being is, in Conor Bradley, you've got a young player. It's not like we're talking about a 27, 28-year-old. It's talking about a young player who had a tough 15, 20 minutes at the start of the game. And that's part of becoming like an experienced player. I went through that in certain games. Gary, who was commentating, would have gone through situations like that. It's not about, oh, let's give Trent a send-off. It's about, OK, we need to assess whether Conor Bradley is the guy for us next season, playing week in, week out. Because the decision Liverpool will have in terms of Trent moving on is, does Conor Bradley become our first choice right back and we buy a backup player who's maybe a utility player who can maybe play centre back? Or are we buying a first choice right back and Conor Bradley's going to have to battle with him? So that lad needs as much experience as he possibly can get. So yes, bring him on, like you did today, if you need to go and win the game, maybe against Spurs or a couple of weeks after that. But in terms of starting games right now, if Trent hasn't committed to the club, which he obviously hasn't, Conor Bradley should be starting every game.
But is there not a question to ask about having your assets on the pitch? If you starting every game with
next Sunday being key. Who would you start next Sunday if you have to beat Spurs?
Conor. No, what I'm saying is, if this title wasn't sewn up and it was edging heads with Arsenal, you put your best player on the pitch, which is Trent. But Liverpool have won the league. You know,
have you seen enough in Bradley? Because I think he's good enough. If Trent was to I think he's a really good player.
Week in, week out.
We still don't know.
That's my point. That's why you have to give him his head now. Sort of 5 games to go. Start him in all these games. He'll have good games. He'll have bad games. He's a young defender. But give him that experience, and then you get to the summer and you make your decision what you do.
It's amazing that we talk about Trent. Trent's a fantastic player. But as if the world's coming to an end if he leaves. Yeah. If he does leave, you wish the lad well. He's done brilliant. He's been a good servant. He's been a brilliant player for Liverpool. But I'm pretty sure Liverpool will survive. Better players have left Liverpool than Trent. And Liverpool are doing OK. You have to also accept, supporters have to accept you're supporting the club. Obviously, you love your players, you have your idols, you have certain players like Dalglish and Rush and all these people. But when they leave, you just continue this.
Exactly.
Good players will come through. That's the name of the game. So, as brilliant as Trent is, Liverpool will be fine.
And the point I want to make about that is, before this team got together, Steven Gerrard, alongside your dad, the 2 greatest players to ever play for the club. You know, we were in the team together. We didn't win the Premier League. The next manager won the Premier League and won everything with, you know, half of this team and other players who moved on. So the greatest player in Liverpool's history moved on. The next manager won the league, won everything. European Cup, World Club Cup. It just shows you the great clubs, as Roy said, he knows better than anyone, but the great club he played for, you'd be fine.
So go next level, what for them to push on or kick on next season, what do Liverpool need in your opinion? Say you was to lose a Trent.
I think Liverpool need 5 or 6 players. I do.
Not necessarily
to much? Yeah, I do. I think they need a lot more pace in the team. I think every area of the team could be looked at in terms of 2 defenders, 2 midfield players and 2 attackers. Yeah.
I think it'd be good for the manager, the Liverpool manager. Watch the strong teams always done over the years. Chelsea, United, going back to Liverpool in the 80s when they were doing really well. They'd also then make a statement this summer. I know about these couple of lads signing deals, which is fantastic, but they'd also go out and buy 1 or 2 or 3 top players, and everyone go, oh, hey, you send a message to everybody that yeah, we might have won the league, but we're not relaxing with this. You send that message, and if Liverpool go out and get 1 or 2 world-class players, you're also putting a marker down to the other teams to say, listen, we're hopefully here to stay for a few more years, competing at the top.
Because the point to be made is since they rejigged the board at Liverpool and since they brought in new decision makers in Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards has come back into the club, hasn't been very active in the transfer market, if at all.
No, so that means there should be plenty to spend this summer. But Liverpool aren't a club who'll just, to pacify the supporters, we're going to buy lots of players. Something that Chelsea have been doing for the last years and Manchester United. I mean, look at the state those 2 clubs are in. It's about being brave, which they were really brave. When does a manager ever come to a football club, a new manager, and not really sign anyone for the first team or bring players he knows from his former club? It's unheard of. And they held the nerve. And they get criticised from Liverpool fans. And I get criticised as being an FSG stooge. I'm not.
Are you?
No. But the point I'm making, you have to admire the nerve and what it takes to actually stay strong and say, no, we're not going to panic, we're going to wait for the right moment and we're going to deliver. And that's what they've done for the last sort of 6 or 7 years, and hence why they've been so successful.
Do you think they'll do it this summer, Jamie? Do you think they've got 2 lined up?
Liverpool aren't a club who have a big summer every season. I think Liverpool could have a real go, and then for the next couple of summers, it'll be, OK, we've got this team now, and then they'll go again. And I think history shows you that even when Jurgen Klopp was manager, I think this summer is the right time to do it. Arne Slot has assessed the squad. It's not his squad. Jurgen Klopp's, and he's got a little bit more out of it than the previous manager did last season, but he'll want to put his stamp on it this summer.
And he's taken them to within 3 points of the Premier League title. You'll be able to watch the next couple of games live on...
Ruud, football people often talk about there being ways to lose, ways you need to perform when things have gone against you. Did you at least see that from your players today?
Yeah, I did, 100%. I think we performed to the maximum of our capabilities. Like last week in Brighton, it was a spirited performance. We were in the game. Of course, Liverpool was a dominant side and creating more chances, but we had our shot on the post, the 2 Facundo shots, the disallowed goal where I've seen him given as well. It was fairly light. Of course, then the goal they score with the head injury of Luke Thomas. So, yeah, then the game goes away from you. But the spirit and the performance of this team, it reflected also in the stands with the support of the crowd. It's been different here. I have to say, I'm proud of this team.
Why do you think in the last couple of weeks we've seen an upturn from your team? A couple of decent performances.
Yeah, I think it's the spirit of this team. I think you see among the promoted sides that it's such a mountain to climb to stay in the Premier League. 5 games before the end, 2 teams are definitely relegated, and 1 is 15 points behind with 5 games to play. It says something on the difficulty when you get up to compete, especially in this moment where we, of course, were that far behind that you never give up, but you see it coming. You see it coming, and that then pulling off these performances with the will to prove themselves still right through the end of the season, to finish it on the best way possible, and taking it into next season. And that's where we shifted the targets, the goals that we want to achieve, and that's what the players are showing.
Yeah, you touched on a few things there and how tricky it is for promoted teams, but in your view, and I know you only came in November, why have Leicester City been relegated? And is there any more you feel like the players could have done, the club could have done, you yourself could have done?
Of course. First, starting with myself. I came in December. And you have to look at yourself first and then evaluate with the leadership and management of the club to see, okay, what happened. how did things go, and see where you can find each other moving forward.
How big a challenge was that for you, Ruud, coming in mid-season to a team that's already in trouble?
Yeah, we knew it was always going to be a big challenge. Of course, expected to get more results. I think we played some very good games where we forgot to take results. In the end, the difference is in the two boxes, and that's the difference in the Premier League, where the top teams they outplay the expected goals, is how I say it. They score more than the expected goals say, and of course in the defensive part and in the two boxes, that's where the quality is, and that's where of course the money is spent. And in the winter window there wasn't anything possible to strengthen. That I think that the team really needed. It really needed, but we had to adjust the expectations on that during the window. Yeah, in the end. You know, I expected more. I expected more since I came in December to get more results on the scoreboard.
But it sounds like ultimately what you're saying, I mean, we can look through different games, different decisions you made or whoever made. Have Leicester been relegated because they weren't good enough, the quality wasn't there?
Not enough to stay in this league, compete with the 17 teams that are there for a long time in the league, and the gap appears to be too big for promoted sides, but in that sense is the conclusion. Yes, we weren't able to compete enough to stay in.
In the last few weeks, with maybe a change of setup, some of the young players you've brought into the team and the squad, you've started to sound like, it almost look like you're presenting a vision for the future, like you want to be part of it. Is that fair? Is that a fair assessment of what you've tried to do and what you want moving forward?
It is a fair assessment, because it's where we shifted the motivation and the targets and the spirit to reach these goals. To look, we have to use this time to get better and to be in a better place, ending this season and starting the new season, because the club will continue, and it's my job now to put the club in the best place possible. Yeah. And in my vision, this is the way forward.
Yeah. And when do you find out if the owners share your vision, whether they want you to be manager again next season and hopefully lead Leicester back?
I hope soon, because the new season starts very soon, and preparation need to start to move forward.
So you want to keep the job and you want to have conversations as soon as possible?
Of course, and then you have to find each other. As I said, in the winter window went in a certain way. We have to take that into the evaluations as well, moving forward. If we are willing to do so, both sides, and we have to find each other there, and of course, the sooner the better.
Thank you, Ruud.
Thank you.
Richard.
Hi, Arne. Great strike by Trent and a great moment there, and not a bad substitution for you to bring him on there.
I don't think I deserve any credits for that, because if you have Trent on the bench, knowing that Connor probably can play 90, I think every manager in the world would have brought Trent in. So there are no credits for me over there, but definitely for Trent, because he's worked so hard for 5.5 weeks, including the medical staff that worked so hard with him to get him back in the squad as soon as he could. And that's why we could use him today for 15 minutes, and I think I had to use him for 27, because 7 minutes of added time.
It was a fantastic moment for him, and the celebration showed how much it meant to him.
Yeah, but I don't think it only meant a lot to him. I think it meant a lot for everyone who loves Liverpool. But it's a big moment, and big players like to have big moments in their career. And Virgil had one last week in a special moment. Mo has had them many times this season already. And players with the quality of Trent, you know that these players step up when you most need it. And he did that when he came in against Newcastle. He did that in his second half performance against Paris Saint-Germain, where I was just waiting for him to score a goal till the moment he had to go out with an injury. and now he's back and he's had his moment. So all nice, but still one to go.
Hamza?
Pushes you one step further, I guess. You know, it's just waiting. The player, I mean, to score with your 25th shot just shows how much you've dominated today, how well you played.
Yeah, I think we did. We dominated definitely, which is also what you could expect if you go to Leicester. But I think you also have to give credits to Ruud van Nistelrooy, who just keeps trying to play in the best possible way, and I saw a few very good moments of them also today. It's not a team that kicks every ball long. They try to play, they try to create, and but yeah, you can expect that we are the team that creates most chances, and it's the first time since I'm here that we've missed so many big chances, because normally we are better in scoring one of them. But today it was not a big chance that we scored. It was again a set piece in another big moment for us to score in a set piece, with us putting so much effort in it for 9 or 10 months now. Feels really good that in the moment we need most, although we needed it against Paris Saint-Germain as well when we headed it on the post, Jarell. Now two big moments for us to score a set piece.
Will it feel extra special if you do indeed win a title in front of your fans? Your fans have been sensational for this.
Yeah, they definitely were. But I think the only thing the fans want is us winning the league. After one league title in 35 years, with them not being involved because of COVID. Yeah, of course they were involved, but not as much as they probably wanted. It would be every moment that it happens, it would be special for them. But definitely looking forward to next week, because I assume that Arsenal, because they are such a good team, is able to win during the week. So we probably have to do it ourselves, and the first chance we have is next week against Tottenham.
Arne, you just mentioned the set piece. I think that was at the 12th corner. You changed it at half time from outswingers to in-swingers. What did you see, and can you just talk about what you just mentioned about the 9 months and the difficulty in scoring from set piece and what you didn't change it?
A lot of noise. To be fair, the idea, the plan was to have in-swingers already in the first half, but there is a bit of freedom also for players to take an outswing if they think that's better, or that they prefer that. Yeah, the work we've put in is that we've trained a lot. We have a lot of meetings about it. We try to every single time try to improve the details, and I think it's normal for a team that's, or not a team, but a coaching staff that's only for 9 or 10 months with that team, that it doesn't come from the first week. I always say, if I do my if I'm analyzing an opponent, if they have their set pieces perfect, so all their throw-ins perfect, all these kind of things, I know the manager is already there for a long time, because normally you start with bringing the ball out from the back, how to defend, and all these kind of things, and the end of that process is set pieces. And I think Arsenal is a great example of that, where Mikel has worked so long, and they're so good in all different phases of the game, and now they've become world class in set pieces.
With the tweaks you made at half time as well, what was the idea there? It looked like you went 4-2-4 a bit.
Sorry?
It looked like you went 4-2-4 second half when you pressed. What was the idea there?
I don't think we had to press that much, because the goalkeeper mostly kicked the ball long, but yeah. The way we press, we wanted just the one that's closest to the ball needs to press, and especially if we need a goal. So that could sometimes mean that it's 4-2-4, and sometimes it's the winger and the fullback jumps. It's just getting rhythm into the game, because it's quite difficult for us to get rhythm and momentum into the game, because the most teams we are facing, every time there's a throw-in, they take 1.5 minutes to take that throw-in. So yeah, the only thing we can do about it is keep the ball longer, and there is where I think we can and have to improve. But yeah, it's also a nice thing that there are still a lot of things to improve if we are 13 points clear at the moment. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have to wait and see because I haven't experienced it here yet. But what I do know from my experience at Feyenoord is that, of course, there's a lot of noise and everybody is very excited. But at our training ground, we're just focused on the training session we do and trying to prepare in the best possible way for Tottenham, which is a team where all the injuries are coming back. It's a team that deserves our full attention. The boys also have 1 or 2 days off during this week because we've planned that already a long time ago. And hopefully they will enjoy some time with their loved ones and be fully focused when we are back together to work towards Tottenham.
Arne, can I just ask you, well, I'm sure no one will question Trent's commitment after that goal today, but you have obviously had to sign on. Are you still open to dialogue, sort of on Trent? Are you still hoping for that half?
The headline should be today the goal he scored and not about his contract. But what I can say is it would be ridiculous if someone argues his commitment for this club. Because the work rate he put in to be back today and make such an important goal and all the work he's done for this club in all these years that he's here, that no one should, in my opinion, can argue his commitment to this club. But that the headlines be his great goal and not his contract situation. Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Leicester had to win to keep their slim Premier League hopes alive. But facing Arne Slot's relentless Liverpool side, that's no easy task. Early signs pointed to chaos. Salah struck both posts in a single play inside 3 minutes. Yes, both. One of the unluckiest non-goals you'll ever see. Leicester fired back with a huge chance of their own. Wilfred Ndidi smacked the post with Alisson wrong-footed. The Foxes weren't going quietly, but Mads Hermansen kept the Foxes in the game. The Leicester keeper made save after save, including a huge stop from Gakpo's curler before half-time. It was end-to-end, frantic stuff. Leicester thought they'd done it in the second half. Connor Cody tapped in from close range, but Patson Daka was penalised for a foul on Alisson. No goal, and moments later, the hammer dropped. Salah hit the post, Jota struck the bar, and then, up stepped Trent Alexander-Arnold. Left foot, top corner, game, set, title nearly match. Leicester's downfall. For Leicester, the writing's been on the wall. That's now 9 straight home games without a goal. Despite flashes of promise, Ndidi's chance, Daka's involvement, Wonanot's effort, there just hasn't been enough end product. Ruud van Nistelrooy's side battled hard, but it was too little, too late. They're down with 5 games still to play and a huge rebuild ahead in the Championship. Still, credit to the Leicester faithful, they stuck around, even in disappointment. Liverpool on the brink of glory. This Liverpool team is just relentless. With Arsenal winning earlier in the day, they couldn't seal the title just yet, but they restored their 13-point lead. Salah may not have scored, but he was everywhere. Jota threatened, Gakpo tested Hermansen, but it was the returning hero, Trent, who made the difference. Liverpool could be crowned champions without even kicking a ball if Crystal Palace beat Arsenal on Wednesday. If not, it's all eyes on Tottenham next weekend at Anfield. Either way, this title is coming. Leicester are down. Liverpool are nearly there. From Alexander-Arnold's comeback rocket to Salah's woodwork madness, it was a night full of drama. What did you make of it? Can the Reds finish the job? Can Leicester bounce back next season? Let us know in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and don't forget to subscribe for more top-tier football coverage here on Sportlab. See you next time.